sadly, with Philip Meyer's band,
I know, Mike, it's going to be right in the damn shot.
Okay.
I love how it went from like such a serious moment to like,
To-
let's kill this fly again. It's right over here.
We need a beer break.
We'll be back after these messages, okay? And ready?
Man.
Boom!
All right, well, let's get started.
Yes.
Let's do this. Billy McCarthy is joining us on Fretboard TV for the first time. So I'm personally excited to have you.
As am I.
Because you probably are one of my most favorite human beings I've met since
Thank you.
opening the brewery. So
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's awfully kind of you. Thank you.
By the way,
so
we're
much.
drinking Vlad, so that's what we're drinking today. Billy's choice.
So good. Love it.
All right, so I am going to jump right in. We are celebrating our 3rd anniversary coming up this November, but that's actually around the first time I met you because I believed you played maybe our first
I was in
before Thanksgiving
pretty early
show,
on.
I want to say. And how did you come by Fretboard? Because I think I know the answer, and his name is Chris.
Yeah. I think it was Chris Ellison had reached out to me, and I loved, right out of the gate, I loved the name. I thought, man, these guys have got something cool, especially being that you're also artists and musicians who inherently, as far as a business model, have a better idea of how to not only choose music and artists, but how to treat musicians and artists. So I was like in from the get-go. And he had mentioned that you guys had a certain business model at that time, and I hadn't formed my other band, McCarthy Union, which is an original band at that point. And so we weren't sure if I was going to be a fit because we're so cover-driven in BillyRock band.
So, sure, and so just for the audience, this is Billy McCarthy of the BillyRock band, who is, in this area where we live and in Loveland and then Mason, you guys kill it.
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
And quite honestly, I didn't know of Billy or the band before really we started here, and I remember watching it for the first show, and I was like, for a 3-piece, and you're a drummer and a singer, I was like, you guys kill it.
Thank you.
Absolutely kill it.
Thank you.
So, but no, I think you worked out great. We weren't really sure of what model we would have here either. So, and we like original bands, but we also, this demographic wants cover bands too. So the people that live around here for sure, and you guys fit real well.
I think it's great that you're able to offer that. And yeah, sure, when you first start out, a lot of things are, they're moving targets. You're like, well, I think this is our demographic, and I think this is who we want to appeal to, and I think this is the kind of clientele we want to bring in. But, along the way, you find out that they kind of dictate to you in many ways what you're going to be.
Absolutely.
And when those clients come in or patrons come in and share with you the things that they love about the experience at Fretboard and what their hope is in terms of maybe some other artists or other direction, I'm sure you get a constant barrage of people telling you how they think your business can be better and what they want you to offer.
It's not as bad as it used to be, but it was all the time. And I remember I talked to another business owner that has had a successful business, and within a couple months of opening, he said to me, he goes, so here, I got a suggestion for you. And he was joking, obviously, and he goes, I bet you haven't heard that before.
Right.
And so, but, I still listen. I still listen to our customers. We listen to friends, and especially musicians, too.
Yeah.
I think, and even our sound guys and lighting guys. We only have so much money to spend, and if I could put Riverbend everything in here, I would, but I don't think we need it, right? So because when Billy comes in and plays, the place is happy, customers are here, they're happy, the sound is great, and you guys do a killer job.
Thank you.
So,
that's only done through teamwork.
Absolutely.
It's so fun for me from the stage to be able to get all the people in the room riled up about the staff, because what a lot of people don't understand is that your brewers and your everyone that is contributing to the success of the venue, they're the rock stars.
Absolutely.
They are.
Yeah.
So when I give a shout out to the bartenders and people like Kelly, who I just met in person after knowing her through the magic of Facebook.
Yes.
John and a lot of the other folks and Seal that I've known for forever, and all the people that make this go are in their own right rock stars. So for me, they're performing on on a different stage.
Sure.
But it's as valuable as what we do on stage, with the band.
No, it's great. I appreciate what you do. Obviously, you have your own philosophy, and we talked a little bit about it off camera before. But I do want to give you a chance to explain why you are so good at building your band into what it's been. And Seal, who is my right-hand partner in getting things done with events and everything we do here, she says it every time. You shake everybody's hand, you go out, you talk to people. It's like a wedding reception every time you play.
The reason I do all the glad handing and connecting out in the audience during breaks or before the show or after the show is because if you think about this aspect, for someone to fill your room, for you to perform, they have to make plans. They have to make calls to other people they're going to meet with. They have to get babysitters. They have to shower, put on makeup, get dressed, drive across town, spend gas money, spend time. All of those things are done so that they can be out in the audience and watch you do what you love to do for the next 2 hours. There is no more humbling experience I could have than to know that someone has taken time out of their evening or their life and made plans to come watch us perform. And they're not fans, they're friends, right? And all the folks out there, they're doctors, they're my UPS man out in the audience.
Yeah.
It's family, it's friends of friends, they're law enforcement, they're firefighters, they're first responders, they're veterans, they're active military, they're all the people that I love to support.
Yeah.
And the same goes out to people like you and your staff. You guys are equally valuable to me in the success of a show. I cannot do this on my own. It takes a team to deliver that positive experience to all the patrons that come repeatedly. It's easy to say, well, it's one and done, I'll never see them again. But these people come back over and over and over again because they begin to trust you.
How long ago did you get started as BillyRock, and where are you at now after that many years? Because I've known you for at least 3 years.
Yeah. So you caught us in about year 7. The BillyRock band has been together just over 10 years.
Wow, okay.
And I was very fortunate to have played with both Christian Robles and Chris Hooks before that. Christian and I were in a band together a long time ago in early 2000. We met playing in a funk band called Worldwide. Chris Hooks and I had played with an artist named Roscoe Justice. And when you talk about trying to deliver a high fidelity product with as few members as you can, those are probably 2 of the best guys I could have sidled myself with.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of noise you can make and how precise it is for 3 people.
Yeah.
And sounds like you have some backing tracks and other because you play with the click track?
I do. We all have a click track in our head. It allows us to, we've embraced the technology. I've played in every lineup you could imagine over the 30 plus years I've been playing. And this particular band, I wanted to be really fleet-footed. I know I could have a 6 or 10 member band, but one thing that I wanted to be able to offer with this band was being able to deliver a high fidelity sound in a small room with someone 2 feet off of my kick drum. We play a lot of, especially early on, played a lot of really small clubs. And one thing that I've realized, because I'm the same way, when you go in for a nice meal with your girlfriend or a group of people, you want to be able to enjoy music and your food and conversation.
Yeah.
If you have to compromise one of those things, it shortens the amount of time you stay, it shortens the amount of drinks you want to have there. Immediately, people will start thinking, where else can we go? The band is too loud.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I think we deserve to have it all. You should be able to have a great atmosphere where the music is enhancing your experience. It's not dominating it and demanding every moment of your attention. So the reason I say all this is to share with you how incredible Chris Hooks is at having developed our sound, the way he has racked us, we're able to come out, you know, for most venues, all of our mixing is already done. I haven't touched my ear mix in probably a year.
So probably fun fact about me is I used to run sound for many years as a sound engineer, and one of the best things about Billy and his group is I get to come in and just plug in 2 things.
That's right.
And then I use an iPad to mix the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, but it's already done, and it's well done.
Yeah, and he is an A1 of the highest order. Oh, and I should say this too. Chris not only does that, but he also controls a lot of our automation from stage, plays the bass, and sings while he does that. And when we were traveling with our own light rig, he also had all of our lighting choreo. You know, he's a legitimate LD as well. He's put together incredible light shows for us. So on the other side of that, I've got Christian Robles, who is in many respects one of the best guitarists you'll find within 200 miles of Cincinnati. I mean, he is just phenomenally gifted. He is a guitar slayer of the highest order. So it's great to be, you know, looking out from my perspective behind the drums and see to my left Hooks, who has got all of our technology and artistry on his instrument down. And then I look over at Christian, who is really capable of anything that I ask him to do on guitar.
Let's back up and give me the journey to where you became essentially a professional musician.
Okay.
Right, because a lot of people, and I just want to say that a lot of people go out and they see a cover band and they think, oh, they're just a cover band, but I know you do so much more. Mm-hmm. So let's start maybe from the beginning. Who influenced you in music as a kid?
I was gifted for I believe it was my 5th birthday, my first drum set, which was to replace the pots and pans that I'd been banging on. And I think my parents in their infinite wisdom saw that as a way to kind of channel the, you know, my mentality of squirrel, you know, constantly. Sure. That really was the beginning for me. Now, I say that, but I came from a very musical family. My grandmother and my great aunts were the Burke sisters, which were famous at that time. Okay. Toured all over the country. Back then they did that by train, which was really cool. I've actually, I have my grandmother's log of all of her tour dates and cities that she went to, and they were based out of Chicago. My aunt was a professional singer and still is, and so there was always music and performing going on at my family gatherings. As I went through grade school and junior high, I continued to play in you know, these were hack bands at 12 years old. But
sure, that's where everybody gets their start from somewhere. Right? Sure.
But I was lucky that my family, my parents were always the ones that were like, yeah, bring the band over. You know, we can practice in my basement. I was that guy, only because my parents were so great about it. Professionally, I guess one of the things that also helped, maybe more than anything, I did study percussion ensemble for a little bit at OU, and realized that was taking me down a path of teaching. And, you know, I was more from the school of Dave Grohl. You know, we were garage band rockers. Yeah. You know, at one point, my major was moving towards TCOM, in which case I had access to what was known as our RTV building, and that's where I got free studio time. So we would bring our projects and our bands in to that to just learn how to record and start developing skills in being on the other side of the camera, so to speak. You know, how do you mic a drum? How do you record it? How do you deal with it in post? You know, that kind of thing. After I left college, I spent a good amount of time, and incidentally meeting my future business partners at the recording workshop in Chillicothe. I'd say 12 years or so, 89 to certainly 2000. I got no less than 1,000 hours of studio time recording, playing with different artists, supporting a lot of original artists. I met Robert Fugate, who is another world-class engineer, along with Alex Lush, who I play with in McCarthy Union. You know him well. Yeah. Yep. And we formed a company called Mind Ignition at that time, which was kind of smaller boutique production company. We were musicians turned engineers. Those guys really took that far. And then we got into the realm of video production as well. And simultaneously, we're all still playing music. I toured with Robert and Alex all over the country, supporting an artist who was doing really well at the time. It put us on the road with Blessed Union in the late 90s. We had 2 singles that charted, and we became the cool guys on the radio for a little while until that money dried up. And so I did a lot of that kind of work, supporting original artists, collaborating. Eventually, I was encouraged to come out front and be a lead presence as opposed to, a supporting vocal and drummer. And that was really kind of Chris Hooks nudging me up front, saying, you have a lead singer's voice, you should be using it.
And you're also a left-handed drummer.
I am. Yep.
Even more rare. A left-handed singing drummer.
Yeah, me and Phil Collins.
Yes. So you share some.
So I think
company.
a lot of musicians, even guitarists and pianists, will say when you have to split that part of your brain and kind of separate the way that I'm subdividing a beat or playing a fill with a melody that doesn't have to necessarily play it with the same rules. I mean, you can attest to this as a musician, a singer, and a guitarist. The idea of being able to have that rundown, or play that chord progression and then sing in a time that doesn't necessarily jive with it or complement it.
Yeah.
It starts to rip your brain in half, right?
Yeah, Dave Matthews did that to me. I
Exactly.
said, how is he playing and singing at the same time?
Right,
Because
right.
I don't understand what he's playing, first off.
Right.
I can learn it, but to actually then sing over top of it is its own problem.
One does
for me,
kind
at
of
least.
atrophy at first. You have to pick your battles because there's at times when there's brain overload. And the way that I kind of stepped that up was by initially just kind of humming along as I'm playing. The words were irrelevant. It was, can you sing the notes? Do you have the register? Do you have the the range to sing?
Can you get through the melody?
That's
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
And then eventually words replace that humming. We also perform with a lot of the stars from the 80s. We've been able to play with the singers from Toto, Kansas, Boston, Styx, John Cafferty, Tommy Two-Tone, CeeLo. I mean, it's a long list of guys that were, and many still are relevant, but these were 80s stars, so they've got me.
How do you
with the exception
how do you
of
get
CeeLo.
to the opportunity to practice with those folks before these shows? Or are you guys such in tune that you say, here's our set, go learn it, and then come, and then we'll do one practice, and then we got to go?
Right. So for what we do with those guys, it's actually a good question, because I know a lot of people wonder, especially when we'll roll in, when we played with Fran Cosmo, for example, of Boston, and another one of the greats is Kevin Chalfant. He was the first singer to replace Steve Perry with Journey, and is just incredible. Well, we've been fortunate to be able to do a number of shows with him. But you're right. He lives in Chicago.
Yeah.
Fran doesn't live in Cincinnati, so John Elefante from Kansas, I think, is in LA. We will roll in the day before the show and do a sound check, and then have an hour, sometimes 2 hours to run the show. And really, it's just touching certain points. We don't have time to run the whole show often, so we'll go, all right, here's the tricky transition, or if they want to parlay one song into another, because these guys have played these songs so many times that they're not always necessarily doing the exact studio cut, and they've found creative ways to transition from song to song without stopping. So you have to be on your toes, for sure. So
Absolutely.
90% of the learning happens in my basement, behind my drum set, or in my studio, or so it's literally homework. The professional aspect of that is you come ready to go. And so at the rehearsal the day before, you're just taking notes on, he wants to do this type of transition there. But you're not learning the song. If you're learning the song, then you're in big trouble. And these
You've
guys
already learned it in your basement.
Yeah, so all that work is done at home. And these guys are, they're Grammy nominees. They're the real deal. They're guys that I was listening to as a child.
Yeah.
You know, playing that stuff with my headphones up in my bedroom on my on my Remo drum kit, and so they demand a certain level, which can be really anxiety-inducing.
I bet.
And then you have to go perform it as if you've been playing it for years in front of, 2,000 people, 1,000 people.
Sure.
It's certainly not because of my ability that I've been able to do these things. It is, there's luck, there's opportunity. The thing that I've tried to do, I'm replaceable. As a singer, as a drummer, you can find someone cheaper, stronger, faster, quicker than me in a New York second. I've just been fortunate to have been able to network and show up on time, be easy to work with, and do my homework. Being a performer, being an entertainer is not just about being skilled enough to pull off the music. It is about exuding a three-dimensional energy to the audience, connecting.
Yeah.
That's what makes people want to reach up to the stage just to try and touch Mick Jagger or Bono or name an artist. Why are they so electric? Why are they so revered? It's because they're more than just someone singing or playing guitar or playing the drums. They're electric. And that's the thing that I try to remember as I'm performing, is that you've got to reach out and connect and lock eyes, with people throughout your show, and make them know that you're looking just at them, and that they matter, and that moment is real. There's all kinds of things that play into whether or not you're going to have a good show. There are nights when it feels like it's forced, but because I have the muscle memory, I can still get through it, as opposed to Saturday night here, where I was completely relaxed, and the energy and the vibe was right in the room. I didn't have to think about anything. After the lockdown, I realized that, I still know what to do, but I was out of gig shape. Okay. And that is that other element that I was telling you about, as far as like connecting to people. We can all perform on stage, but how do you go out and grab that person without reaching out and grabbing them? You have to do it. You have to do it with the gifts that you have, whatever they may be.
Right.
But it was at its pinnacle last Saturday.
Saturday.
It was one of the first shows in front of
Perfect. We planned it that way.
Exactly, on a big stage with a great crowd and eyeballs on you. That I was not nervous or not relaxed. I felt great, and that's when I can just get out of my own way. Sure. It's almost like you lift above yourself. I've spent 100,000 hours banging on drums. I know how to do it.
Yeah, sure.
The only thing that gets in your way, it's like my golf swing. It's what's between the ears that's screwing up my golf swing. The body knows how to do it. So you asked me, and this will tie into this, you asked me about one of the most amazing performances I've been involved with. Would have to have been a show that I did, and this was probably 8 years ago now, in DC, and it was an 80s, basically, tribute show. And the lineup was Alex Lidgertwood from Santana, Bobby Kimball from Toto, Kim Wilson, Fabulous Thunderbirds, Jim Keller from Tommy Two-Tone, John Cafferty from Beaver Brown Band. And so leading up to this show, this will blow your mind. Leading up to the show, we had been on the road with Philip nonstop for weeks and had really no time to rehearse. We were rehearsing in hotel rooms, and you could spend the next 3 months just working on the Toto material.
Yeah, sure.
Not to mention the Santana and the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
If anyone knows those bands, those acts, I mean, it's super easy to play.
Yeah, right.
Forget about it.
Piece of cake. So
harmonies and everything.
Yeah, we were under the gun to put that show together, and it was very difficult to do that on the road, but we did, and we pulled it off with all these guys. They were stacked back to back to back to back. So one would say thanks, the other one's transitioning back on stage, and then eventually I think they all got up on stage together. But being on stage with them, I had so many pinch myself moments going, is this happening?
Right, yeah.
Me?
You're here with all these
What
dudes.
am I doing here? There's no reason why I should be on this stage.
Why do they trust me?
Please don't look at me. I know exactly where I am. Which keeps me very humble, because as I mentioned earlier, I can be replaced in a second. There's plenty of drummers that are way better than me, technically and musically, better singers. Are the Rolling Stones the best band that's ever performed technically? Of course not. But they're a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Right.
You know, is U2 the best band that's ever performed? Of course not. Is Rush? You know, I mean, so what it has made me realize is that you just have to be the best Jim Skinny that you can be.
Damn it, Jim Skinny.
That's right. And we each have our own thumbprint.
Yeah.
So just make yours clear.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break.
We'll be back after these messages.
We're taking a beer break.
I feel great.
Cheers.
I feel great. Cheers.
Well, you're more in shape than me, so congratulations.
I told my liver's 90, the rest of me's, 28.
I've heard of that happening. All right, well, welcome back to the Billy McCarthy experience. Let's talk about the Billy McCarthy Union, because we didn't get into that yet.
Yeah.
And where's that born out of?
McCarthy Union was almost an accident. It was brought to my attention by an extremely talented guitarist and legend in this town, Mr. Scott Hacker, who's played with everybody. You've had him on your stage here.
Sure.
Almond Butter Boys.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal.
They're great. They'll be here. They'll be here very soon.
And Scott has done a lot of stuff on his own and collaborated, and I was very lucky that he and I crossed paths, and we brought also into that picture the incredibly talented Elton Clifton.
Great guy.
Yeah, Elton's great, and also a very gifted guitarist. And of course, Alex Lusht became a part of that mix as well. So it was really kind of an exciting little mix of what are all, in some respects, very large personalities. Also, Greg Tudor, who has played with a lot of great people in this town and just incredibly talented, was also part of that mix. Scott had some material that he presented to me, and I was lucky enough to be a part of helping write some of that material and collaborate with him. The album kind of crosses into a few different genres of music, and we're actually working on the second one now. COVID kind of slowed the process down, but this one is...
You got another one coming?
Yeah, it's very intentional. This one is kind of a unapologetic, straightforward rock, spit and vinegar kind of album.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little rough.
All right,
around the edges, but intentional. And the other album was, I loved it. We have tracks on that one like Die Trying, which to me is kind of epic, but it's almost ethereal, or it doesn't have any, in my mind, a specific genre that it adheres to. And then you have Best of Me, which is kind of a straightforward drive-in rock song. And
what's your plans with McCarthy Union, aside from, hey, we're just going to release another album?
Yeah,
it sounds like you got more in the works.
I think my hope is that we can reawaken the beast now that we're hopefully coming out of the other end of this pandemic. I'm hoping to rattle that cage here in the next few weeks, really, and see if I can't corral the guys and see if we can't deliver some live performances, at least for the first album. And
about
then,
up here?
Yeah.
Biggest influences?
This is a hard question.
It is a hard question, but if you go dig back early into childhood, or when you started playing drums.
See, that helps that question.
And so I'll just frame it that way. 3 to 5 artists. Okay,
early childhood influence, I have to go back to Doobie Brothers, Sam Cooke, a lot of Motown influence, R&B, Van Halen, listening to Van Halen from 1978 on, Kiss, Zeppelin, a lot of that hard-hitting rock.
If you could have 3 bands play on the Fretboard stage, dead or alive, who would they be?
I would say Zeppelin would be one of them. I'd love to see the Foo Fighters up there.
That's a great answer. I would too.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay. Why?
That's another influence that I grew up with. There's a lot of funk in my life, and they're not Parliament funk, but I loved what they did. It was part of my childhood and my life growing up.
All right, craft beer. When did it enter your life?
I don't know. When did we start drinking craft beers? 20 years ago?
Yeah,
That's when it entered my life. Man, it has been wildly successful, hasn't it?
I agree.
If you want to go to a microbrewery in this city, you need to point your car in one direction and go 5 minutes, right? I mean, they've really become a part of our culture. So much so that they've actually taken over many bars, like they're recognized as venues now. You know,
sure.
You guys have been very successful with it, and part of that is because of the fact that you are a musician too. You understood that there needs to be lighting, sound, stage, and the whole 9 yards. But you have other places like Big Ash and a lot of these other breweries that have said, well, I also want to be part of that mix. But it has helped me to understand that one of my favorite beers, and this is not me pandering, is Vlad.
Thank you.
It's seriously, and it wasn't until I drank it again today that I remembered how much I love it.
It's the World Beer Cup winner from 2018.
It is?
Yeah, so we won a silver medal
Wow.
in the International Pilsner category.
It is so good.
So that's like the Grammy of beers,
Yeah.
like if you're going to win a Grammy award like in beer, it's a World Beer Cup.
It deserves it
Yeah.
because, I mean, even not knowing any of that information, when I drink this beer, I go, this is the beer I want in my life.
Let's cheers to the end of the broadcast.
Cheers.
It's been a long-winded one.
Yes.
But no, it's good. We thank you. And honestly, one of my favorite people. I'm just going to say it again.
Thank you, Jim. I feel the same.
All right, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.
Nice.
I've had a few beers.